7th December. 7th December. Exactly 1 year say to about. Are you thanking Ghanaians for voting for President John Mahama?
Fellow compatriots, today is exactly a year since we went to the polls. And I do remember that just before the elections, we had series of videos go out. And one of them was the Judgment Day, being 7th of December 2024. And indeed it was. The people of Ghana voted massively, overwhelmingly, for President Mahama. We have to first of all thank God that he has brought us this far. Almost too soon, a year has come. And on an anniversary like this, we have to give thanks to the Almighty, the creator and sustainer of life, for having brought us this far. And then we have to thank the people of Ghana for making a wise, commendable decision. It was necessary for there to be change from the President Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to President John Dramani Mahama to take over. I believe President Mahama's coming back is akin to Moses when he had to come back to Egypt to save the Israelites. He had to come back and he saved the people of Ghana. So yes, we have to thank him too, the president, for accepting to come back. Because if he had not, I wouldn't know and we wouldn't know where Ghana would be by now. Perhaps maybe we will be just like slaves, because the revelations within just 1 year is too much. It's too much. He had to come back to save this country. Right. Look at the National Service Scheme. The stealing. We thought it was just about 53 million until deeper investigation revealed that indeed it's even more than $750 million. It had become so rampant, so commonplace that even women and men of God were involved in the thievery, the looting. He had to come to save this country. Not just that. Look at the recent revelation that $31 billion had actually been laundered into overseas accounts in the guise of imports. $31 billion between 2016 and 2024. The GDP of Ghana was around 60.5 billion. So basically, they have stolen more than half our GDP. And it's just a few people. We thank God that he brought John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, the Excellent, to come and save us. Not just that. The National Cathedral, we thought $57 million, the most expensive hole, only for us to find out later on that is around $97 million. The whole country, every sector has become a crime scene. ECG, 189 million Ghana cedis misappropriation. Pualugu Dam, $11.9 million. I do remember that the former vice president said that that dam had been completed, and indeed it was one of the best projects up north since independence, only for us to find out that indeed nothing had taken place at the site, and that 11.9 million was just chopped, shared and chopped. GRA boss, Reverend Amishadai, 8.9 million. Accusation of fraud, corruption, procurement breaches. It didn't end there. The almighty criminal enterprise, where a company was used to receive massive amounts of money, amounting to about 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, for no work done, no validation, no proof of performance. It only had to take God to intervene because it was becoming just too much. This same criminal enterprise, Kenneth Ofori-Atta and his people, had it not been for the change of government, would have gone on and contracted our upstream petroleum and minerals to the tune of 2,799,604,864 United States dollars. You see, the people were bent on breaking this country. And the sad thing is, whilst they did this, whilst they stole, looted, and hoarded the money, they told us to tighten our belts. They told even the elders, pensioners, that they could go and die, literally, for all they cared. So we needed a savior, and we cried unto the people, and the people cried unto the Lord, and the Lord taught the people, thou shalt not vote for them again, for they were thieves. They came, they saw, they looted, and enough had to be enough. It wasn't just there. Mustafa Hamid, 280 million. He could afford to buy houses with cash for girlfriends. He knows I know what I'm talking about. 750 billion was borrowed. And for what? We don't know of even 3 spectacular projects that we can point to for them to say that indeed that is something that they used the money for. It didn't end there. They went ahead, printed banknotes, money, without recourse to Parliament. You see, it was just too much in the sight of the Lord, and so there needed to be change. And we thank God for President Mahama coming to change it for us. So if you ask me if I'm being thankful to the president, yes, I need to be thankful. If he hadn't done anything at all, but just saving us from the hands of this wicked, kleptocratic people, democracy, was enough. But you know, he has even exceeded all expectations. Look, he promised he could work with 60 ministers, and so many people doubted him. Today, he's worked with 58, saving us the salaries, the allowances, the goodies, the free fuel, paying for domestic staff, the V8s and all that. He has saved this country that amount of money. Look at inflation. At one point under NPP, it was 54%. Steadily, consecutively, it's been brought to what? 6.3%. That's incredible. For once, prices have stabilized and even gone down. You remember in the past, when it's getting to Christmas, that's when the prices of goods and commodities start shooting up. But it's not like that. We hope it continues. We can only say a yiko to President Mahama. Look at the stress-free tertiary education. He's done it. Students are happy, at least for their first years. The disabled are not paying anything at all throughout their tertiary education. That is a plus. He's done well. It hasn't ended there. The almighty city has regained its strength. You see, it feels good to read in an international newspaper like Reuters and be told that of all the currencies in the world, the cedi soared 42% above the dollar, making it the strongest currency in the whole of the world, not just Africa, the whole of the world. And then also to receive those positive appraisals from financial and investment institutions like Moody, Fitch, S&P Global, World Bank, about our debt sustainability. I mean, these are all feelings that make you feel proud as a Ghanaian. And he's spending on all the infrastructure. Within the first few months of taking office, 13 towns and villages in the central Gonja district had rural electrification. I'll have to mention this because I used to go to La a lot. And then to realize that the hospital there, which was in operation, had been demolished and abandoned, was an eyesore. But the president, in his wisdom, with the care that he has for us, released $130 million for it to be completed. That is a caring government, a caring president. And that is not it. He has done so many. The debt to GDP, 44.9%. In 2022, it was 93%. District assemblies, they are all rejoicing. Assemblymen, for the first time in their lives, are receiving salaries, thanks to President Mahama. Last time I went to Kwaibibre, my municipality, they cut the sword for 10 projects at once, on the go. That shows that this country really is working. Stadium, education, health, they are all benefiting. And I said to myself, if this is replicated across all the 16 regions, then indeed, come 2027, 2028, the Green Book will be too big for people to refer to. He's doing well. We can also mention the relative peace in the country. Just before 2024, 2023, thereabouts, up north was almost burning. People were even afraid that insurgents and terrorists might enter through the north and harm us all as Ghanaians. Today, thanks be to President Mahama, and of course, Otiko Koso, Tumfo, Nanamibomu, the Yana, the great ones up there, we have found relative peace. It's not just local, on the international scene too. When the president delivered some few speeches with the honesty and boldness, every Ghanaian was proud. We felt as though Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's spirit had indeed entered into the body of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The black star of Africa was shining again. That is not all. I need to mention some more. Mention can be made of Galamsey. For once, we have seen that this operation really means business. Back in 2024, I saw it necessary to petition the commander in charge of the southern arm of Ghana Armed Forces. And I was told, Nana, we could have given you about 2 buses filled with military men to go and help you clear off those people who are destroying the rivers, the lands, and all that. But do you know something? The president and the minister have ordered us not to do any anti-Galamsey operations. And the reason was that they lost so much votes in those mining areas in 2020. So basically, whilst the president had put his presidency on the line, behind the scene, he had ordered the soldiers not to be involved in any anti-galamsey operation. When some of our friends, soldier men, came to my land and decided to visit those places and find out for themselves, and they saw some Chinese people and they brought them to the police station, those soldier men who should have been congratulated were rather arrested together with myself. We spent days in the police cell and even remand for doing work for country and for God. So when we see NIMOS doing the work as it should, we should congratulate them. We should pat them on the back. Colonel Dominic Bua, you are doing a good job, and the people of Ghana are solidly behind you, and we say thank you to you and your team. I'm sure the president will remember him when it's time for awards, because for somebody to refuse even bribes, put his life and the life of his men on the line, shows how patriotic really that colonel and his team are. So we thank all of them. It hasn't ended there. We can talk of state-owned enterprises and how they are working now under this government. In the past, it just used to be an avenue for any and everybody to dip their hands into state funds. Massive dissipation of our scarce resources was the order of the day. Today, it's different. Look, ECG, within a month, could give us 1.74 billion. That is impressive. Look, Tor almost sold among themselves for next to nothing. And within a few months, we've received $21 million. That's impressive. Gold Board, doing impressively, massively. Comrade Sami Jemfi, more grease to your elbow. You are doing what the nation wants. 8 billion within a few months, projected to reach 11.2 billion for Ghanaians. We are happy. There is change, and it's positive change. The big push, I should mention that, for our roads, for our infrastructure, $10 billion. That's a good sign of a country that wants to be called developed. Our foreign reserve, gross 12 billion. There's more. Let me end here. But all that I need to say is that God bless President, His Excellency, the excellent John Dramani Mahama. God bless the people of Ghana for listening to some of us, for making a wise choice and making sure there was change. We thank everybody for their efforts. And on a day like this, we must only give glory to God and then celebrate, because it's an anniversary and it's a good one.
And it's almost 1 year since the president was elected. Is there anything you would have wanted done in this 1 year period that isn't done yet?
Yes, so I would have wished Ural was allowed to continue. We campaigned a lot on Ural, and I believe we needed Ural to carry on with the momentum. I'm one of those who believe that the slow, lackadaisical prosecutions of the old guard should have been changed for a revolutionary one like Ural. I'm sure by now we would have had a lot of people languishing in jail. You see, there are a lot of things that needs to be changed. that corruption was massive under President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia doesn't mean it doesn't exist in Ghana. I mean, the temptation is still there. People will be tempted if care is not taken. And the best form would have been prevention. Let me give you one instance. Asset declaration form. You fill the form, but when your tenure of office is over, there is no end of term asset declaration form. It's not good enough. For me, it's just a cosmetic dressing. Because somebody can say, for instance, that I have 2 houses, and I'm going to write that I have 12 houses, and that I have 2 cars, and then I'm going to write that I have, let's say, 10 cars, with the hope that if I can get some money, if I can dip my hands and have something, I can build the 8 more houses that I wrote on the paper, or buy some 8 more cars that I wrote on the paper. And it's not really helping in the fight against corruption. If oral had existed and presidents and vice and ministers and all appointees don't just fill a form, but they are given officers who actually investigate and value the properties that they claim they have, so that at the end of the tenure, they are once again investigated, and the properties that they have, if they exceed what their allowances or salaries or other businesses should allow, will be confiscated for the state. We need that much of a stricter enforcement against corruption. If we don't do that, I'm afraid we may come back a few years down the line and be crying just like we are crying now against the master looters that have just gone. We need to change that. Look at the Public Accounts Committee, and then the Office of the Auditor General, and you will realize that it's just much ado about nothing.
You don't think the OSP is also doing enough?
You see, when you mention the OSP, I think it's an entirely different thing. I actually wish that that office could be converted to an oral office. I wish that oral were given that legal legitimacy to be able to operate, to be able to investigate, arrest, and prosecute. Because, quite honestly, value for money-wise, I don't think OSP is doing what we want. Value for money-wise. But an oral office set up, not just against the government gone, but other governments to come. There must be that fear that if you loot, if you steal, if you rob, if you are corrupt, you'll be found out. If you don't get caught in the same day, month, or year that you did it, when you are leaving office, you will be found out. And whatever you took will be confiscated. I think Ora would have done a more job. But, well, saying that, I'm sure the powers that be are looking into it. And I'm very sure that the president and his able team will come out with the best for the people of Ghana.
Right. Now, the last time we had an interview with regards to President Mahama going for a 3rd term, you made mention that you wish he goes for a 3rd term. Do you still stand by it?
Yes, I do, and vehemently so. But before I go there, there's this little thing I forgot about what we could have done in the first year, or what we should do in the years coming ahead. And that has to do with job creation. I suggest that we could do a big push, kind of a big push equivalent of job creation. $10 billion plus into jobs. You see, it's only 1 in 3 of the youth of today that can boast of being in some sort of employment. Only 1 in 3. The rest are either unemployed or just hustling by, trying to make a living. If the government of President Mahama pushes that much amount into job creation, aggressive job creation, Ghanaians will feel at home, will feel free. You see, it's good that he's doing all the legacy projects so that anything that the NPP left will be handled. For instance, the Agenda 111 hospitals are going to be built. But what we have forgotten is 1D, 1F. I think that was also a good idea. But like many of the ideas that NPP comes with, implementation becomes the problem. Now, I am not talking about going for 1D, 1F. I mean 1D, 3 Fs. 1 district, 3 factories. Let's create jobs for our people. That will be the solution to all our problems. Look at Galamsey. Just in 2019, around October 7th, thereabout, Graphic Online did a report and said that about 5 million people are into illegal mining sector. Namos is doing its best. But tell me, can they fill the prisons with 5 million people? Or even a few 100,000 people? The prisons are already full. And we don't just want to go along with arresting our youth. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. What they're doing is the best at the moment. But we can't fill our prisons with the youthful muzzle of our youth rather than give them jobs which will make this country greater than what it is. When we have jobs, whatever we put into creating jobs will more than double in the shortest possible time. Because the factories will generate enough for export. We will have a lot from foreign exchange from the exports. Even the workers can pay taxes by way of pay as you earn. The opportunities are endless. There will be a lot of development all across all the districts. Our brothers and sisters won't travel from very far and wide to come to Accra and Kumasi just in search of jobs, because there will be jobs around where they live. So the rural-urban drift would cease. I believe creating jobs is what we need to tackle now. And I hope that this gets done. Invest so much money into it. Get the other people involved, anybody that has plans of coming on board. And let's create jobs for the youth. Now, let me come to your question about wanting President Mahama to go for a 3rd term. Like I said, he was the Moses that needed to come and save the Israelites from the slavery and from the oppression, from the tyrannical rule, the kleptocracy of President Akufo-Addo. And I have just enumerated within 1 year what he has been able to do. I'm sure that if we give him the chance, the sky will be the limit. You see, this man has been vilified. They have gone as far as they could through propaganda just to tarnish whatever image he had. But as Matthew 15:16 said, you cannot light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket. That light will come out and it will defeat the darkness. So you see, he is the light that has come out. Look at the love that the people have for him. Look at what happened when he went to inspect the Ofankor to Sawam Road, and how children and the elderly and everybody was singing praises. It's as if it was a campaign platform. Look at the international scene. After his UN address, and Nigerians, 230 million Nigerians, were saying they wished President Mahama was their president. You see, when God blesses you, let me put it in the way that we all know. Who Jah bless, no one cares. Yes, I wish he could continue. It's painful that he has said he would not contest. A lot of traditional rulers and opinion leaders, sheikhs and imams, and even pastors I have spoken to, have agreed that maybe we should petition Otumfuo, so that just as he did the last time round and made him come again the second time, and he will do us that favor and talk to him so that he can come again.